earlier, and happy Women's History Month. And thank you so much for allowing me to be with you this evening and be a part of your academy. We always love P6 and cooperation among cooperatives. So really honored that NDCC has allowed us to share with you all this evening. I'm going to share a little bit about kind of basics, fundamentals on marketing cooperatives, and hopefully some of this will be of value to you. And let me go ahead and share my screen and get started. Okay. Excited to learn more about Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative, Wellness Modality Cooperative, and Crenshaw Cooperative Bakery, and your progress and your vision for your cooperative. It's always excited to be at the origin point of organizations and also supporting along the way. So really excited to hear more from you all as we go through this presentation. All right, so I am, as Anna mentioned, working with Georgia Cooperative Development Center as the interim director, and we provide cooperative assistance, technical assistance, to start up and existing cooperatives throughout the state of Georgia with the goal of addressing the social needs of our communities and creating a more equitable economy. So just basic information there on us. Again, our guiding principle is P6. We really believe that's something that can grow the ecosystem and grow cooperative, the movement as a whole. And being here with you all tonight and partnering with NDCC to share in education is really quite an honor and something that we really love to do and are inspired to do. Here's just a quick map of our P6 visions. And communication, education, access to capital, technology, advocacy are some of the areas that we're working to expand our reach through P6. And then this is just general information on the work that we do as a whole, of course, technical assistance, education and training. And we're adding some of these other pieces as the work continues to expand, especially around advocacy in Georgia, because in Georgia, you can only start up one type of cooperative. And we really want it to be easier for cooperatives to start any different type that you want to start. The co-op that I was with for many years, is based in Georgia, but was incorporated in Wisconsin because of the Georgia law here. So that's something that's pretty important in terms of supporting the movement as a whole. Here's our board. Some great folks passionate about cooperatives from all different sectors, lots of experience in the fields of cooperative, different types of cooperatives. And here's Audrey Griffin. She's my co-director, CPA, who works alongside me with Cooperative Development Center, as well as other organizations in the co-op community. Here's a short piece on some of the work that I'm doing, helping, again, women and BIPOC business owners with digital transformation, building their communities, expanding their impact for the digital economy, coaching, empowerment, education, and all of those things. My passion is media. I love media. I love co-ops, and I'm working now to just integrate the two of those as best I can to tell better stories about cooperatives and raise awareness. All right, so here we go. So the information we're sharing this evening, pretty much fundamentals again of marketing a cooperative business. Going to offer some tools for leveraging the co-op difference specifically, which we often don't hear about or is not often emphasized, and maximizing stakeholder engagement within a cooperative ecosystem. These materials and information can be used pretty much across all sectors and co-op types. So whether you're brick and mortar or you want to be a platform cooperative or a hybrid, the basics still apply. You just sort of, tweak them for your particular organization. We're going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals, the relational ecosystem versus consumerism ecosystem, the co-op difference again, holistic engagement, who we should be talking to, who's a part of our ecosystem, and some digital resources. We'll talk a little bit about digital aspects of the work, and then some real-time practice. So fundamentals here for us really starts with business model canvas and ownership model canvas, as these aspects really help to flush out exactly who it is we are doing our work for, what problem we're trying to solve, who our stakeholders are, and so forth. Before we can market or engage, we really have to have a really good understanding of our community. This is the business model canvas. Some of you may be familiar with that. And the basics of this on the left side, if you see, things that cost us money. And on the right side, things that make money. In the center, the mission and value proposition. So in terms of engagement or marketing, we focus on the ones on the right side: customer relations, market and customer segments, the channels, and those drive some of the other pieces on the left. Who needs our solution? How many people need our solution right now? How many will eventually need it? And you can drill down more into some of those questions, but these are kind of the basics that get you started in terms of your structure, your stakeholders, your customers, your segments, all those pieces. And the business model canvas is something that often gets missed. We kind of just jump into some of these pieces, or we do a piece, but not the whole thing. And some of these can get lost in translation. This is the ownership model canvas. And here we're taking a look more at the cooperative side of things, where the business model canvas is actually focusing more on business, traditional businesses and traditional business structures. The ownership model canvas is taking us more inside the cooperative structure and all of those pieces that make the cooperative different. So having stakeholders versus customers, having benefits that you pay in to get or that you do some service to get. Financial rights, what determines how distribution and surplus profits are given back to member owners, what they have to do to receive those dividends, all those sorts of things are fleshed out on the ownership model canvas. Again, those pieces that really kind of show the difference between traditional and cooperatives. And just outlining these portions because, again, you're really, as a marketer or someone who's engaging with the communications, it's really key to keep your mindset in a space that is outside of traditional business and more in the cooperative mindset, which is completely different. So I'm backing up a little bit here. The business model canvas is going to focus more on these traditional business aspects. So the general community that you're pulling from or speaking to, your potential customers, and your shoppers. Of course, my background is retail food co-ops, so we're thinking in terms of some of these that tie into that setting and environment. Shoppers, then drilling down more into customers, drilling down more into loyal customers, which then potentially may turn into club members, subscriptions, things like that. And then moving over to the ownership model canvas, you're focusing more on these aspects of your internal stakeholders. So you may have your core community that is rallied around the work that you do or all the causes that are happening in a community, a state, or town. You have volunteers that become interested. You may have working members. This was something that we did where our volunteers were actually able to work and earn discounts by spending 3 hours a week in the store. And so they were able to have a different level of engagement and were also considered a stakeholder, which traditional stores would not have. Then you have your board of directors. Sometimes you have board of directors that are owners. Sometimes you have board of directors that are not owners. Just depends on how you set up your cooperative and your bylaws and the different ownership levels, and again, what expectations are, investments and things like that. So these may be a little bit different for your cooperatives, but again, we're just focusing on the internal stakeholder piece, which represents the cooperative side of things. Your management and your staff. You may also have owner staff that are not owners. In our store, we had staff who were not owners and we had staff who were owners. And so again, that's a decision for each co-op to make. Some cooperatives feel that voluntary and open membership, the principle number one, is paramount, and that people should have the freedom to choose whether they're going to be a member or not. And some cooperatives feel that it's paramount in that it needs to be staff need to be members because, or owners, because if they're going to talk about the model, then they have to be about the model. And so this is a debate that happens sometimes, and but you decide collectively what's going to be best for your organization and how best to lift up the principle voluntary and owner membership. Then owner members you may have, and then general members. So just again, making that distinction between the external aspects of a business and then your internal stakeholders that make up the organization internally, and they're going to drive the organization forward and participate and engage and all of that. Here, there's an emphasis on creating an ecosystem of relational wealth versus consumerism. And so in co-op marketing, there's more of a focus again on building a full ecosystem, not just getting at one or two people.
How do you communicate to her that we can't hear?
LA, can you hear us?
No, yes,
Let me put it in the chat. Let's see.
It says connecting to audio.
I think maybe she's having internet.
Anybody have her cell phone number can just call her.
Let me call her now.
are you calling her, Ann?
Yep. Yes. So. Hi, Alice. We can't hear you, and your presentation it disappeared too. I'm calling to just let you know that.
Oh, okay.
In the Zoom, yeah.
All right, my apologies. Sincere apologies. Thank you again for your patience. Anna, she's amazing.
Somebody want to restart? Somebody want to restart the recording?
I think
they
she
just
just did.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Okay, so creating an ecosystem of relational wealth versus consumerism, again, is just another aspect of the cooperative mindset in terms of your engagement versus marketing mindset. So what we're wanting to be intentional about is that we are building a community. We're building a full ecosystem that's going to expand beyond our community into the world, and versus just marketing to folks so that they can buy something, a one-off here and there, and just building numbers, but not building relationships. And so in the cooperative mindset, the relationship is paramount. There's definitely the triple bottom line of relational, environmental, and financial. They're equally important in the cooperative mindset. So this is something that we can be really intentional about when we're engaging around our cooperative. This section here is just an expanded version of the previous stakeholders, the customer section that I shared, and then the internal stakeholder section that I shared. When we're talking about full ecosystems, often these aspects get missed or forgotten about, or not as much emphasis on. And so a part of our expanded ecosystem that we wanted to engage with are the vendors who were selling the products that we, or distributed the products that we would sell. And so the advertisers who would advertise in our newsletters or on our website or sponsor events, instructors who would teach the classes for our cooking classes, our fermentation classes, our wellness classes, and partners who would be a part of any initiative or endeavor project that we were wanting to launch. And so these were all additional people in our ecosystem that really helped to propel the cooperative forward. The vendors is another really key aspect, just telling their stories. When we're talking about engaging or outreaching, telling stories about the vendors who actually create the products that bring them to the store and share them with the world is really important. So again, just part of the intentional aspect of our communication and building relational well. We had one general manager who actually, considered the insects outside, right? So we had homeless people that were around our store that we would help when we could. Animals. There was a gentleman that we called Flower Man that used to hang out and sell his flowers on the sidewalk. And so we never sold flowers. We didn't want to compete with him. And sometimes we tried to have him come in into the foyer and sell his flowers from in there. But he was more comfortable outside. So, we just let him be. But it's to say that being intentional again about the community, it's not just who we think it is sometimes, it's more than that. And however you're speaking or extending a hand or building that relationship, it's important to kind of consider that. All right, here is just a little bit about furthering the co-op difference in our communication and engagement. So it's some basic concepts, the engagement language that we can use, and communication partners to help us do that. I'm gonna go forward for a minute. All right, so here, one of the key things, again, in just terms of terminology, the words that we're using when we're communicating and marketing. And when I first joined the co-op movement years ago, marketing was a word that you didn't use because it was better to use outreach. Marketing was associated, again, with more capitalistic views and making money and tricking people into buying things, and there was a lot of that. And that's changed quite a bit for many, but some people still feel that way about it. But in terms of being the person or people who are sharing information about your cooperative, it's helpful to think about what you're doing as engagement. You're engaging, and marketing is a type of engagement. Outreach is a type of engagement. Your emails are a type of engagement. Speaking to people on the floor is a type of engagement, or speaking to your stakeholders wherever they are, it's engagement. It's all engagement. And each of those different types of engagement can be used to accomplish different things, but they're all building relationship and building that ecosystem. So we tried not to say we were marketing, but today, if you don't say that, people don't know what you're talking about, especially in the realm of digital marketing. So it's just kind of you to know, as a part of leveraging the co-op difference, some of the mindset that can be in your consciousness when you are actually putting information out and moving through the work. Another aspect is education. We pretty much looked at education as the marketing. I'll say that again. The education is the marketing. So in some cases, that's a form of marketing, like article marketing, there's educational marketing, there's call-to marketing, all these different types of marketing. But for cooperatives, it's really important to be sharing about the model itself, what it is, why it's important, what kind of impact it can have on the community, what are the benefits, and the reasons why people should be interested. And so, and sometimes that can be hard to convey, but educating about something raises awareness about something. Initially, if you can do it that way, raise the awareness first, kind of get folks' attention, and then you start educating about this particular thing, and then you start sharing actual samples of what it looks like, the people that are living and breathing in this movement, the vendors, again, all the stakeholders, telling all those different stories and how they're using the model and how they're a part of the model and making the world a better place because your organization exists. More co-op difference, integrating positive co-op culture into your messaging. retail food co-ops specifically have a lot of bad rap when it comes to, they're hard, they're tough, right? A lot of retail food co-ops are thriving, doing great. A lot of them are struggling. And then you have those sort of in the middle. And so you're going to have drama. You're going to have, it's a free will zone where people are actually feeling for the first time that they can be heard or listened to, or really be themselves. And so balancing that between the actual business, whatever that business is key. But there's so many great things that are happening 80% of the time, 90% of the time, but you're going to have these bumps. You're going to have unrest within the membership. You're going to have unrest in the community. You're going to have these things as the world moves and changes, and you are ebbing and flowing with it. And so it's important to always be lifting up the positive aspects of the co-op culture, all the great things that your organization is doing, and reminding folks that the world is a better place because you exist. Co-op principles, values, we'll come back to that. Also here, even in your decision-making, democratization, these are aspects that you can also engage about or market about. Sharing more about how your organization makes decisions can make a difference in if someone wants to support your organization or not, if they feel like staff have a say in certain things or how they're being treated, or how your board decides things. This is another one that's really important in terms of cooperatives. When you get into the principles, principle number 2, we have open and voluntary membership, and then democratic member control. And so this is something that you want to decide for your co-op as well. How do you apply these principles or each principle? This is another thing that co-ops do differently, and it can rip your co-op to shreds if it's not clear how you're going to apply this or live this particular principle. Some cooperatives, the way that their democratic control lives is through a vote that the members have to vote for their board, and that's it. Some cooperatives, they have more say.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there are committees, there are other ways that the working membership members can make decisions about products that you're carrying, how you're going to govern. There's other aspects that they can control, but it has to be clear how that's going to happen, who's going to decide, who's going to decide, who's going to decide, and those sorts of things. And those are also worked out on your ownership model canvas under decision making. Okay, democratization again. How do you do that? How does that show up in your organization? And sharing about that in your messaging, your engagement, in your newsletter, having staff talk about those things, your volunteers, all of those things go towards communicating and building more relational wealth for your organization and your community that you're building. Here, I just wanted to quickly note the principles and the values. We hear these thrown around a lot, and I just want to emphasize how important they are. I've experienced organizations that have mastered the model pretty well, but there's always something that they're still trying to master because it's a pretty ideal way of thinking and being and serving. And so if you can, apply all of these principles and all of these values, you're doing great. And so things like education and training, again, emphasizing these in your messaging and communication and your marketing, education and training about your organization, about the model, about whatever operation or service that you provide. For instance, at that store, it was health and wellness. We talked about the products, we talked about the store, we talked about the vendors, but we educated on the co-op model, but we also educated on wellness. And so, but when we didn't educate, if we slipped up and for some reason, and sometimes there were reasons why we couldn't continue our education as often as we wanted to. When education on the co-op model stops, it's a disaster because people, again, they bring traditional mindsets and they try to apply them in a cooperative setting. And it's like hammering a square peg into a round hole. It doesn't work. And there's a consistent ebb and flow. And so, not ebb and flow, a consistent push and pull. And again, democratic member control, same thing. So each of them are special and unique. So you often see them just like this, but each of them have an expanded narrative. And so as the person that's marketing or communicating or engaging, or everyone, it's important that everyone in the organization really understands what they mean, what they are, and how they live in the organization, and what you can do to improve and make those aspects a little bit better. Okay, a few more points on the leveraging the co-op difference here. We are emphasizing here some of the engagement language again. Core lovers. This is there's a marketing person I know. I think her name is Beth Brodowski, and she talks about when you're trying to design your business model canvas and your segment and your market and those things. One of the things that's emphasized is your core. And on the co-op side, this is also emphasized, your core members. Those are the lovers. Those are the people that show up for whatever you're doing, whenever you're doing it, however they can show up and support you. And then you have mid-level who are there, not as much, but they definitely believe in the missions, and they may or may not be able to participate as much, but they're down with the cause. Our core co-op members, I remember, they would come to events and they didn't care if there was food or anything. They just showed up for the meetings, what's going on, what decisions we're going to make. It's gone a business, right? And then you have mid-level and other levels that are there for the social aspects. They're there for the education. They're there because they believe in the values. But the important thing is that you are speaking a language to each of these different levels in a different way, because they are listening in a different way. I put love language in the middle because I think most folks know about the book that was written about love languages and how couples can be more successful when they understand how each other understands love is being showed and demonstrated. And once they understand the language of their partner, then they're more harmonious. And so just sort of pulling from that a little bit in terms of the language that you're using to speak to your core, and the language you're using to speak to your mid-level, and the language you're using to speak to your educators and vendors and partners, making sure that you're thinking about how you're supporting them, how they can support you also, but what do they need in this relationship? Because each one is a relationship that you're building. Here is a little bit more on P6 in terms of the co-op relationships and principles. And partnerships, I'm sorry, that should say partnerships. And so one way that you can do that, and this is another way to engage, is through your partnerships like NDCC has done with us. And so it's sharing information with us and through us. So like businesses, it could be other development centers. And then moving up to extended services, maybe you want to offer different services or products, but you don't have the resources to do it. So you will collaborate with a partner to extend those services and tweak a few things, and you'll be able to offer that thing without having to reinvent the wheel. That's really what P6 is about, just sharing what's already existing in terms of resource and just connecting the dots. Same thing here, same idea with distribution resources and all of that. And the last one here is just sort of another way to partner is where your target lives, works, and plays. And then other innovative ways that you can do that maybe you haven't thought of yet, that will illuminate once you engage in conversation with community members. This here is just another sample of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that I have seen some cooperative diagrams. I wasn't able to find the one I was looking for here, but there's some that actually take this chart and align the different core members with each one. It's really interesting. But I just wanted to note it as, again, just really looking at the different needs of the different groups, what they're expecting, what they're wanting, what they're needing in the relationship that you're building through your communication and engagement. So not just buy something, but it's deeper. And then here, co-op versus operation, just noting holistic engagement. So with our operation, of course, we are a store and a cooperative. We're a retail food store and a cooperative. So the store, we're engaging and marketing around the store, the products, the vendors, all those sorts of things. And then we're also engaging and marketing and educating about the co-op itself, the benefits, again, educating in general about the model, how to be a member, how to shop the store, and more people storytelling and relationships. So there's actually two entities that you're actually marketing and engaging. In the middle here, this is just different communication channels and strategies that can be used. Programs and services is another way to market and engage. The overhead announcement was huge, and we always underutilized that, mostly because we didn't have the labor to run that whole machine, right? So somebody writing scripts all the time, somebody loading it up, changing it out every month, making sure that you have a whole theme all year round, and that's going to go out automatically. And we had it going for a while, but it was one of those things we had to put on the back burner, but really powerful when you can engage visually, audio wise, as well as the other senses. So people walking in the store, wanting them to see what they see, touch, hear, taste, and smell, part of that branding. And other tools there you can see. I'm sure you're familiar with those. Podcasts are great to do for your organization, little newsletters, but magazines, digital magazines, video boards, things like that. And on the right side, just kind of a summary: engagement versus marketing, education versus marketing, using engagement language, your style, your tone, your method, your tools. And again, with the branding, it's what do they see, touch, hear, taste, and smell when they enter your establishment or think of you. I think we're almost there. And here is just a note on, in real time, some of the ways to communicate. Sometimes this gets missed when you have your cooperative. There's an outward focus, right, on the customer and what the customer wants. And so again, this is bringing it back to the internal communication and the engagement with your staff, the people that are internal stakeholders that are really helping to breathe life into the organization. And so HR is another aspect that can really be maximized to build a relationship with staff and have them be ambassadors of the organization and of the co-op. These are pretty much, I think I covered some of these already. Brand styles. Yeah, and then overall, you're wanting to do your best and be intentional to actually, whatever it is that you're sharing and saying the experience is going to be and the service you're going to provide, you want that to match what is actually provided and experienced when people engage with your organization or your staff. Okay, where are we on time, Anna?
7:18 now.
Okay, all right,
Go
I'm going to go a little bit longer. I'm just going to switch gears and talk a little bit about digital, and then I'll stop, and then we can do Q&A if everyone is up for that. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit on the digital aspects of marketing. Intentionally, we didn't start with this or lead with this because it's digital. The digital world is, at least on the marketing side of things, is really driven by content. And content is driven by all of the things that we've been talking about. And it's really important, at least in my experience, that you try to flush out all of those pieces that we talked about and reviewed earlier before you create content and before you start that machine. because there needs to be a little bit more strategy and broader look at how you're going to communicate, what you're going to communicate about, who you're going to communicate to, what is the benefit of that, what is the relationship, and all of those things, so that when you create the content and you start pushing it out through that digital machine, now it's really impactful and it's really representative of who you are and your organization intended to be. Right. So I didn't want to lead with this, even though the whole world is talking about digital marketing right now. Right. And it's important because it is definitely here and the way of the future. But in terms of cooperative marketing, I wanted to place emphasis on the initial work and strategy and thought, that is of great value when you do that first. And then you can start plugging in all this other stuff into the digital machine and factory content machine that you have to build these days to get the word out in all the different ways through all the different channels. So here, briefly, these are some key terms. I'm still learning. There's so much happening so fast, but these stand out: digital marketing, digital economy. You can have a digital platform. I took a platform co-op course a little while back, and that was amazing. And that you see more of now too, not just cooperative platforms, but platforms, period. People are just getting tech to do whatever it is they need to do. And that's because you have the next one down, the automation that is really key in terms of efficiency for your organization on the back end, convenience for your user, your customers, as well as for you as you're trying to navigate and manage all the different systems that actually go on in the relationships. So you have these relationships and you're starting all this stuff going, but when you need to engage with people, how is your system, behind that? And automation, there's so many tools now that make it much easier and you don't have to pay a fortune for them. So that's really cool. And I'm really, really having fun with that. Digital real estate, digital inclusion is another one to be aware of or conscious of in terms of marketing and engaging. This is another aspect that is fairly new to me. But again, it's just what it sounds like. It's making sure that when you are communicating, that you're including everyone in your thought process so that there's as much equity as possible, and people aren't being left out because you communicated in this particular way, but not everyone had access to it. I wanted to talk about those values. I skipped over that. We'll keep going. But equity often it's one of the values versus the principles. The values I don't think get enough play. The values are powerful. Sometimes when they say equity, they have been pushing. It's more about the equity in the co-op, but it's also about human equity. Digital resilience, digital fitness. So we'll keep going here. These are other third-party folks, third-party ideas to help the co-op. If you're starting, you might want to start with a third party and bring these different aspects on slowly versus trying to launch with all of them. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Okay, we're almost there. Thanks for hanging in there with me.
LA, is that the raised her hand?
Hi, I just wanted to say, could you just describe, what did you call it? Human equity? Just a sentence to say what you mean by that.
Sure. So what I mean by that is that everyone who is a human, whether they are disabled, whether they live somewhere where they don't have access, whether they are Black or white, LGBTQ plus, whatever they are, that they're able to access what you are offering.
So what we usually call accessibility, but we're just framing it in a cooperative solidarity piece as human equity, which I like. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for that question. All right, so tracking, now we're talking about digital differences here and the benefits. Tracking, hyper-focused targets, and cost. I think some of you may have seen some diagrams like this, and it's basically all the different aspects when you start to get into digital marketing. And that's not even automating the rest of the business. This is just the marketing, right? So it's quite a hungry machine. Here, I think I talked about these platform co-ops, business automation, digital marketing, data science. I didn't talk about analytic tools. Those are just other aspects of the digital world that really help to help you as a marketer and engager to understand what the response is to what you're putting out there, and so that you can adjust as you go, as the organization evolves. These are other aspects that you can automate: the customer convenience side and the reasons, seamless processing. You can automate project management, billing and collections, your promotion process. So from the time you promote something to the time someone clicks, yes, I want to do it, that whole process. Subscriptions, onboarding, scheduling, those kinds of things. And many times now people are doing pieces of these, and that's fine if it works. But sometimes it's cumbersome, and there are ways to integrate them now. And there are portals that you can have that will, handle like 3 of these for you. So really, really fascinating stuff there. The metrics is one of the benefits of the digital world, of course. I'm sure you all have heard that as well. You can monitor everything that's happening. You can see how many people came to your website, how many people downloaded your course, opened your emails. You can track the SEO, the target, the words that you're using, the keywords, and how well they translate to folks. And then you can change them. How are they engaging with your socials? Same thing here with your advertising, your blog, your networks, your campaigns. How well did it do? Your videos, of course, are king now. More of the digital difference, some of the challenges: the speed of evolution, feeding the content machine, and training, stress and overwhelm that folks can have. This is just another iteration of some of the digital marketing matrix, all the pieces that have to go in there. And sometimes you can use 1 or 2 of them. There's people that jump on an Instagram and they're cool and they're running their whole solopreneurship that way. It works well for solopreneurs, and sometimes for organizations. But as your business grows, and sometimes before it grows, you want to set these things up so that there's a foundation there for it to grow smoothly and seamlessly without the customer or the employees and internal system being upset as much. Another aspect, of course, is reputation marketing, and that has to do with, testimonials and Google rankings and things like that, and offers that you have out there. This is the same, more of the same. I think we're almost done. This one here is just another kind of trigger on the on this side of digital marketing, PR, HR, DEI/harassment, IT tech. These are some aspects that we had third party to support the organization. So digital marketing, you could have a third party person help you with that. General PR, HR, of course. There's a lot of these organizations now that are third party, and it's just really a lot less to go with the third party now, where third parties used to cost a whole lot more. There are just so many folks that are starting their own businesses, doing all these different things, charging you a lot less. And some of these services will crop up at some time, and you don't need to have them in-house, as a steady. You just need to grab them when you need to have them. DEI and harassment training, we often did third party for that, and IT tech. Here are some other third-party options: digital agencies, digital teams, and they'll just work on a project for you, and then they'll continue on about their business. You can call them again when you need them. Again, you don't have to carry that overhead in your organization. Nonprofit, tech, development centers, Upworks, Fiverr. Over here, we use them for communications, marketing, PR. Crisis management is a good one. Again, for when some things kind of jump off, it's good to have crisis management PR person on standby. Sometimes they have a plan already for you. And then conflict management, we had that sometimes when we needed to have conflict mediators and things like that to help conversations happen we actually had mediators sometime between staff or management to help to resolve issues that they just couldn't resolve on their own or management couldn't resolve. Incremental successes, that's something you definitely want to push those out there more. To your horn a little bit. I don't think co-ops do this enough. We're doing so much work. Community organizations doing so much work, but often don't have the resources and time to do the storytelling and share, toot their horn about all the amazing work they're doing and incremental successes. So you could do this through partners as well. Okay, I think we're almost done. And this last part of the process, really assessing, strategizing, creating a plan for your business plan. You know, you have your marketing plan that's going to go inside of that. So assessing, strategizing, planning, looking at your competition, a timeline, training, and then implement. Then you assess it, adjust it, pivot, revise it, rinse and repeat. And I think that's it. There, yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions, or Anna or Ron, you can let me know what's next, but I'm happy to take questions if there are any, or anything else anyone would like to talk about.
Well, thank you, LA, for a robust discussion on marketing. And a lot of what you covered, I hadn't really given thought to, particularly the digital. There's so many platforms around digital that are cropping up now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're cropping up left and right. And I think that it's going to be important. It's something that we haven't, you know, we got to transform slowly personally, you know, with whether it was music or using our phones, or, you know, we got to see the digital age kind of come in our personal lives. But on the business side, a lot of times, at least where I worked at the co-op, we just didn't have the resources to always engage in that or the time. But we did begin to look at some of the platforms, and they're just amazing. Some of them are really doing some amazing things. And I think just for tracking patronage alone, or just monitoring, just making things more efficient and seamless for your customer is going to be key. And that's where the digital can really help, some of the automated pieces, not just the marketing, but the internal workings of the organization.
Is there some collective avenues out there where folks are sort of buying into collective PR work around the digital space, where they're sharing resources to get the most that they can for their organization, particularly small organizations who don't have large budgets? Are there some platforms out there that they can collaborate in?
I believe there are platforms. I know that there are organizations that are doing that, sort of like more like media collectives. And it'll be a group of journalists or a group of broadcasters, those sorts of things. And so I'm sure that's next. It's just a matter of sort of researching it. And I'm sure that's next, or it may already be out there. I've seen a lot just happening very quickly. So that would be something definitely to look at. Yeah. It's all about P6, right? I mean, you can share staff. You know, if there was a co-op out there that's gonna create ways for you to share staff share as you're growing, so you don't have to pull that whole labor in, you know, I mean, that alone. So the P6 really is the way.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or questions?
We'll be able to get your slide deck, right?
Yes, it's NDCC has it.
Okay.
Well,
Great.
you mentioned that you had made some updates to it. So could you?
Oh, that's right, I did. I can resend it.
It was excellent, and it was very substantive, and there was so much there. And you know, it's so integral to you. You just kind of went through it.
Yes.
And there were so many pieces I wanted to drill down on. So if I can get my hands on it and get my mind around it, I can do some contemplating of how do we build this? How do we create that? Think about what we should be saying. One of the things you emphasized that I think is critically important is language, the use of language, and getting you know, some standard kind of language in some of these areas where, you know, every area of, professional area has its own language.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're creating some language, and we should be mindful, I think, of that as we go through this process, that we are creating language that speaks to different audiences.
Mhm.
I really like that part of, I like marketing anyway, so I really enjoyed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was going to ask, I'm not sure if you addressed, I think oftentimes in the co-op world, which reminds me of the nonprofit world, there isn't the budget for marketing because how it's viewed. And I think that people, because we're opening businesses, we have to kind of be as competitive with the cachet of other businesses. So, just thinking of anything that's popular like Starbucks or even what Nipsey Hussle did with his brand. And are there collectives that offer top-notch cool designs for cooperatives that are affordable, or is that something that, no, I guess that's the first question.
I couldn't hear you. You said what kind of designs?
Just like something that's kind of like, competitive to what's out there in the market, like comparing it to Starbucks or comparing it to, what Nipsey Hussle has done. Just thinking about, I think of cooperatives like nonprofits where the design and the branding kind of falls short. So I'm just wondering if there's any collective brand or advertising, places where we can go to get that help.
Yeah. I have heard of a couple of them. They're not local, but I think they can still do the work. It's probably work that can be done, remotely. One is 7 Roots, I think is the name of it. And another one, what's the other one? 7 Roots and Firebrand. I think that's the other one. And they're usually at Up and Coming, the big co-op conference that happens every year. And I think there are other cropping up. There's some web co-ops and tech co-ops and creative co-ops. And so I think there may be some already there, but those 2 I know for sure. They do, like, even if you're opening a store, they'll do design for your space planning, for your walls, for the external, all that, so that it looks sharp and, fresh like a Starbucks. And yeah, that's a good point. Asita has her hand up, or is there someone else who was before?
Yes,
Asita?
ma'am.
Hi.
And yeah, hi. And Eva, I do want to say that I want to counter the idea that cooperatives don't think about marketing, because they actually do. And in fact, it's in the budget. It's in our budgets, right? And they're usually people who are set up to do marketing, right? And and I think you could reach out to collectives, but like we have somebody whose background is marketing, and he's now a cooperator, right? And so he uses all those things. And in fact, we also have someone, John, who's into technology, and he's actually done work around digital or cooperative platforms, right? And so so it's not, I just want to say it's, we're asking people like you, Eve, to use your gift, skills, and talents for cooperation. So it's not, I think thinking about how we engage people in our communities, and I'm learning this even in Chicago, what they're really doing is finding people, local people who want a chance, who are looking to get their opportunity, right? And they're really engaging them and then investing in them. Because what we also did, ICA, had like a program where they put together cohorts of people just to work on marketing. Now it was very specific to the home care business, right? But they just began to train, and we have someone, and she designed our logo. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of people that are into graphic design, marketing, and branding. And another way we really have gotten a lot of resources is partnerships with universities, right? We had a whole design, students do design charrettes for us, and they all designed our logo. And then we picked our logo from all the logos that they had done for us, right? So I just think, and I like that too, because that was like a community thing where we voted, and then already in the community voted and decided the colors of the logo. So they felt like they were helping to create this business. So anyway, I just wanted to say that to Eve, that, you know, particularly the agriculture cooperatives, they put a lot of money. Lando Lakes, Ocean Spray, you know what I mean? My new favorite cheese, is it Timart? I don't know it, the name, but I buy it when Timalou, right? And now they're getting like very prominent in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you know,
I didn't even know those were co-ops. So that's a good
that's
point.
a co-op,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah. All of those places.
Yeah. So think about co-ops, not like nonprofits, but like businesses. But
yes.
Yeah.
what I really like that you said, sister elder teacher, I'll say sister elder teacher, was that it's not about a bait and switch, right? Capitalism is like a bait and switch, and even Starbucks, you know, whatever. But it's about relationships, right? It's about that. This is about deepening and strengthening our relationship with community, right? And since I really love what you said about Flower Man, right? And I think this is a good point, like, because we have a flower man, and we had a flower man. He away, but he would decorate his house with flowers and drive around on his bike with flowers. So that really resonated with me. But what I like what you said is that it's almost like a scan, right, on asset map. And you're asking yourself as a cooperative, how do we invest in the assets of our community? How do we strengthen them, right? Not how do we do a business that's, you know, just successful, whatever. But if our business, and I never thought about it like this, if our business is going to have a benefit to community, we should, in the incubation and development of that business, be thinking about ways that we're investing in the community, right? You know, and you making a space for Flower Man was an investment. It didn't cost you a lot. You know what I mean? But it really emphasized that this business is to support community and to solve problems and enhance the neighborhood. So I really like, because I always am like against marketing. Every time it's like, we got a marketing meeting, I'm going to skip that one. That's the one I'm going to skip, right?
You gotta go.
Right, okay, good level. You know, because I'm always like, oh, I don't, you know, but now I can come to it differently because marketing lets me develop and strengthen my relationships.
That's right.
And I want to say Arizmendi does a very good job. I'm saying to the group because our group is into Arizmendi. They do a very good job of even marketing the bakery as they're like hiring people, right? You know, because I think about a regular job application. They don't think like that. They think about that as an opportunity to really spread more information about the cooperative, right? Whether you get hired or not. So I just love this idea that we're just strengthening relationships. And I do think, you know, people are developing a lot of technology and a lot of platforms. And in fact, in California, this is gonna be my last thing. When we went to the home care cooperative and Jeff was there, Jeff's not here, right? Jeff was there. In California, they're developing an app, right? They're developing a platform in California to accelerate cooperatives, right? They're using technology as a means to accelerate the development of cooperatives in California. So again, I think this idea of us figuring out how to use technology, and my last thing is that I think that's where young people come in at, right? That's where it can be intergenerational. Like I don't need to learn tech. Like, you know, I got enough to do. I really, really do, right? I can just do what it is that I'm doing and try to do a little bit better at it. But young people are spending all their time, you know, my bonus daughter, she fussing because she can't be on technology because we're in the car bonding together. But they spend their lives on technology. And so I think that's where we can have an intergenerational, you know, approach and bringing young people in to, one, help us with marketing, but also help us create those technological systems or the tech-based systems to run our business more efficiently and more effectively. So I'm learning a lot. This is really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Asata. Thank you.
Yeah, I love everything she just said.
That was great.
You know, because it is a change of mindset. You really do have to shift and think differently all the way around. You know, you are pulling some pieces from traditional business. Just the fact that you're profit making, and you've got to be mindful that you're doing the things that will generate that kind of income so that you can sustain the operation, even if you just break even. You know, you have to be mindful about how are we going to sustain the operation by what it is that we together produce. And so, you know, it's a piece of that. It's a piece of the nonprofit. It's a piece of the, you know, you got an amalgamation and a synchronization of different mindsets. And so what's emerging is just this new way of thinking, this new way of being, that we are in the forefront and, you know, in leadership of how you do this. And it's not that we all know how to do it. We're looking at other people who've done it and then deciding our idea is as good as anybody's. It's what bottom line. It's just how do we take our ideas and put some meat on the bone, as they say, and get on out there with it. You know, our ideas are as good as anybody's. I mean, nobody has the market on ideas.
Right.
And you know, we got good ideas. Just I love it. We love us.
And after 40 years, we were still learning. So, and then everything changes, right? Everything, the external world is evolving. And so then you got to change again, right? And now you got to adapt, you know, so.
And some of our learning is just learning how to relearn.
That's
quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in this game, you know, you have to pivot and learn how to relearn quickly. Keep moving. Keep it moving. Just do it.
If you all, Ron and Anna and everyone, I can, you know, for some of those sections, if you want to work through sections, I can make myself available to do just offline gatherings where we go through some of that and work through, you know, flush out some of those details if you want. I'm happy to do that. So y'all let me know how you want to use the information, or if you just want to read it yourself, and that's all good. But I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great presentation.
Thank you so much. All right. Do you all continue the rest of the time with your academy? Is there something else that you do?
Well, no, this is great because I try to at least leave the last 25 minutes or so for folks to interact and ask questions, give their thoughts. So yeah, this is really great.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you again. It was really a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it. Thank much success to all of you with your co-ops.
And thank you. Thank you for, thank you for doing this work. And, thank you for, what I was thinking when you were talking, I just want to say, I was thinking, this is just the way it is in her world. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exceptional. It's not a unique model. This is just the way that we do business and we, relate to one another. And so thank you for being who you are and also being a Northern Star to remind us that this is feasible, this is possible, and cooperation is a way of life. It's not a business, it's a way of life.
Right.
And once you commit to that way of life, then that enhances the business enterprises that you engage in. So it's a way of life, and I could feel it and sense it in your presentation. So thank you.
Wow, thank you for that. Yeah, so important. And I'm just thinking about all the different experiences, and it'll go away just as fast. If you let something slip and you forget that one of those principles, how important they are, then it shows up quick, because the rest of the world is like just out there waiting. you
Yes.
know, and so if you slip, if something seeps in, you know, and then you're off balance. And so it's a constant keeping that what they call homeostasis of your organization, and it's not always easy, but I think for the most part, it definitely, you can do it. You can definitely do it. So excited for y'all. Again, thank you for having me. I guess I'll jump off then.
All right. Well,
Thank you so much.
well, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, LA.
You're welcome. So
Thank you.
So we're on a roll. We're on a roll.
Yes. Exciting.
Yes, yes. So it's good for me to sit and hear this presentation, because it got me thinking as well in terms of just marketing and knowing that I manage an organization with limited resources in terms of how can I enlarge our territory through collaborations. And so as Silas is saying, this is all about relationships. This co-op work is all about relationships, building and strengthening relationships. Yeah. And valuing the relationship that you create.
Yeah. You know, to build the consciousness of the significance and importance of relationships is something that can shift our whole community, our whole culture, our whole, you know, just shifting all of our communities, just shifting the consciousness about relationships, the significance of it. How do you engage relationships? You know, if we look at some of our families and communities, that's a piece that's missing. In some families, it's strong. In some families, it's missing. And you know, it's a piece that is so vitally important in just awareness. So if that's another one, if that's one of the things that we do, you know, the Nguzo Saba, I think is a good, that you brought up last week, I think is such a good representation of principles that help build that consciousness.
Yes.
You know, that awareness.
Yes.
So to the degree that we embrace that and be that, you know, it is. It's a way of being. It's a way of living life. It's not just something you do in a cooperative business. It's something that you be in your life.
Yes. Yes. If you embody the whole thought.
And to the degree that people get that, you know, that we communicate that and we engage that and we demonstrate and model it as an image, and that, you know, we have conversations about it, I think it's an important part of the whole cooperative movement. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I believe it's about giving and receiving, but also it's about being humble enough to be able to receive and give. You know, because at some point you see some people get to a point where it's I'm above that. You know, and being in a cooperative, you have a network where we always self-evaluating. And I believe that's very, very important.
yes. I agree.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Well, we're closing in on the 8 o'clock hour. I do want to just mention that again that we've extended the early registration for the conference until March the 31st. So for those of you who are considering joining us in Las Vegas, You can still register and get the early registration fee of $225. And you can book your hotel room as well up until May the 1st. And we'll be sending out and more information to all of you on a weekly basis. I didn't get a chance to include you on this email, but I will certainly get your emails into our system so that you'll be on our regular email chain for the announcements for the conference. Anna, is there anything you want to close out with?
Well, for next week's session, we're gonna have Julian Hill as presenter. And the session is gonna be on cooperative legal structures.
Hmm.
That's what we're looking forward to for next week.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Let's get down to it. Let's get it on.
Let's get it.
All right.
This is Ron. Ron, I just want to thank you also for your vision and your consciousness to take some leadership in getting all of this happening and moving. Thank you so much. It is appreciated.
No, well, thank you, Reverend. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to ask Marvin, is it still 60-40, Marvin?
Nah, bro, we about 80. You did it. I just hit the lottery, man.
What is the 60-40? Did I miss something?
Well,
Yeah, missed it, see? He asked me, I told him 60-40 at the end of the presentation. I let him know which side was 60 or 40. And
okay.
Tomorrow, man, this one did it. I'm up there. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And you know, again, I have my own business. Man, I have to steal time to make these events, but I thank you guys. I do. It is very informative for me. And in any capacity, I extend myself to you guys. And keep in mind, I do a lot of trainings. So just give me a call. I'll be there.
What is the area of your expertise or professional, your training?
I do safety trainings.
Okay.
A lot of them. You get a chance, look at my website,
Okay.
MVPsafetytrainings.com.
why don't you put that? Can you put that in the chat?
Put in the chat. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now you asked me to go out of my expertise.
Well,
Wait, okay.
It's not today. Be prepared next week to put it in the chat.
You got it. You got
Right.
it, brother.
Okay.
Is that the correct?
Also, I have Facebook and Instagram. Every time I do a training, I take pictures and I post. And again, I do a lot of trainings for pre-apprenticeship programs for that's underserved, low income. That's where I'm at. That's where I can do the corporate sections, and my company do have contracts with them. But I tell you, I really enjoy doing the underserved. I really do, especially in Baltimore,
Okay.
because in my class, I have gang members from all different types of gangs. And of course, we have to address that before we start the training. And, keep in mind, I got a BA in psychology. So I address that factor and I tell them, let's have fun training. But I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it.
Very
All right.
interesting. Yeah. In this climate today, very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, especially in Baltimore. You know, it's like the price of life is worth $1.
Mm.
That's the mindset. The price of life is worth $1 or less than $1, you know?
Mm.
And I encourage, you know, us as as a network, we need to address that thinking.
Mm.
Yes, yes.
We need to address that thinking, you know? And it starts at home,
Yes.
you know?
You know what I was sitting up here thinking about as we were
Hey,
talking.
Kim.
Hey, Marvin.
Mm.
So I'll tell you, Marvin is an excellent trainer too. So he trained me with my Ocean 10. And so he's a very good on and but one thing I was sitting here thinking about, if we could somehow, and this is futuristic and it may already be happening, but if we had our own schools, right, teaching these kind of principles, because a lot of our youth in our communities don't understand how to work together,
Yeah.
or how to be not just conscious, but how to like, what does a cooperative mean? It means you have to cooperate with people and work with other people. And a lot of our youth don't know that. They don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Are you? I think you got stuck.
But
Yeah.
did you, I'm in my car. I'm sitting in my car. It got so good I didn't even get out my car yet.
It was.
I came from me and Lynn did a community meeting tonight, and I'm sitting in my car and but I don't know how much of it you all heard, but I was just thinking about if we had our own school teaching these kind of principles to our youth.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, you know, I know I've been talking so much and I apologize, but this been on my heart. I promise you, it's been on my heart for about last 20 years. Last 20 years. We need not a mommy in me, but a father in me. We need these trainings because so many of our youth are being raised without fathers, you know, and we need to, I honestly, it's on my heart. We need to address that fact.
You know, there is a group of men here in Baltimore who are trying to put together something called Saving Our Sons Now Academy of Excellence. Have you heard of them?
Now, tell them, call me.
I sure will. And I'm
Tell
going
them,
to also
tell them,
talk to
look,
them
you
about
tell them they'll
perhaps
get my time for free.
Yeah, I'm gonna share with them. They're looking for a space right now. We were originally thinking about offering them space to run their school, but we're too small. We don't have the space for middle school age boys to, you know, to really.
So listen,
Yeah.
not to cut you off, and you know, I know my voice is very pronounced, but this is something we can when I wish Lynn was on, but Kim's there. But Kim, this is something we need to consider inculcating in our co-op. What you think?
And
I think she left.
I think she's still here. But I was gonna just say, I'm gonna talk to them about considering the co-op as a model for how they develop the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
It'd
do
be
it.
great.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Marvin. So me and Lynn we have talked about that. So a part of the academy is also, we're looking with the cooperative, is to raise funds, is to have like a scholarship for some the youth. So that's where my heart is at anyway, Marvin. You know, that's where I mean, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you. And I think, just as a community, we like Marvin said, it's a lot of youth out here, male, female, who just don't have really good role models. And I'm gonna say that on both ends, male and female, mothers and fathers.
Right.
Because it used to be, we got down, we could talk about the men, but I'm gonna tell you something. I be out here and I see some of these mothers. Woo!
Yeah.
And when you got mothers, the ones who bear children, supposed to provide that nurturing child to them, man, you don't have a luxury of society, because that runs deep.
Yeah.
I see a lot of young mothers cussing at their kids. I mean, just saying awful things. Wow. So I know that's not a problem.
You're breaking up.
Things that oh, I'm gonna stop because I'm in my car. And
Mrs. Beth, did you want to say something? I see your hands up.
Yeah, I was gonna add another strategy onto what you've been discussing, because one of the methodologies is to go to the teachers union with an already developed curriculum, and if you approach the teachers through the teachers union, they can incorporate your curriculum. And like one of the possible curriculums that I've seen used, and it was used in my daughter's elementary school, was you have the kids create an economy. And they do things like they use little tickets as their currency exchange, and then they bring in the things that they want to market, and they talk about what the economy is supposed to do and how it operates. And it would be a way to introduce cooperative principles.
Yeah.
If we had a curriculum developed that we then take to the teachers union, talk to teachers, and that could be this is at the elementary school level. It could also be at the middle school level and the high school level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question. We throwing these ideas around, and we all agree that these ideas are important. At what point are we going to make the decision to address these ideas?
Can I say something, Brother Ron? Yeah, I just want to say that, I think we are making the decision.
Yeah.
Like, I think part of coming to the conference that Ron is organizing is so that you can see that people are making that decision all over the country.
You're right.
So
right.
I was also raising my hand because in Houston, we are starting a cooperative school, right? And it's combining cooperation and nonviolent communication. So I just wanted to say the piece though, because I think what the sister said was so powerful, because what she said, I'm going to tell them they should think about starting their school as a cooperative, because cooperatives are solve problems. That's all they do, right? That's their purpose, is to solve problems. So anything can be a cooperative. It's how you choose and decide we're going to solve that problem, right? So that's why coming to the conference is important, and being in relationship and the California group, which I'm a part of, we're here because we're working on building cooperatives to support, Black residents in Crenshaw, right? To be focused on solving the problems facing the Black community and Black residents. So I just want to say we are solving that problem, but I love the idea that we're seeing this as a model that can be applied to all types of problems, right?
Yes.
A grocery store, home care, house cleaning, schools, right? And I think thinking about a cooperative as an alternative, not an alternative, as a difference from a charter school, I think is very powerful, right? Because charter schools are about some people coming in and swooping in and saving people in your community who can't be taught by their own school system usually. But cooperatives are about, in our cooperatives, the students will also be members, right? The students will have an opportunity to vote and participate in the decision making in the cooperative, to not get them to practice, but get them to actualize having power in their lives. So anyway, I'm just saying it's a general model, and we're learning that model. and we're using that model, but coming to the conference will get you to see, oh, that's what it looks like when we're starting here with education, which we must, because I love what the sister said too. The powerful thing is that we continue, one of the principles is training and education.
Yes.
And the reason why is because the values and principles of capitalism are insidious, right? They're everywhere, right? And so it's hard to act in cooperation when everything is incentivizing you and encouraging you to act individually, right? To think individually, think about you and yours, to think about power over, all of that, right? And so we have to continue to do our education so we strengthen our commitment and our skills to cooperate. But anyway, it's a good conversation. I just want to encourage people. It's more than just talk. Cooperatives are existing all over the country and all over the world.
I also wanted to add that there is an organization called Teacher Powered Schools, which is an organization of 120 worker cooperative K-12 schools where the teachers run the school. And half of those are even union organized, union represented. So 60 of them are union represented, but there's an organization that has conferences, it's nationwide, that has over 120 teacher powered schools, worker cooperative schools. Yeah, it was news to me. I was like,
Elizabeth, if you have a contact for that, could you share?
I think we can find a website for it, teacherpoweredschools.org. If I can get onto a web, let me see if I can get onto a web page here.
Howard School.
Yeah, I think that is
.org.
the direction to go in. Our advocacy of the inclusion of this in educational systems, I think it's just vital if we're going to change the consciousness and the culture in the community.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And for parents and teachers and students to all own their own schools. In the models we have right now, if you're a student, you don't have any power. If you're a parent, you got less. You got little power, and you got probably less power unless you're at school every day. So I mean, it just speaks to how we begin to infuse some principle that's valued by us.
Yes.
Yep, it came up, teacher powered schools. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Teacher powered
schools, plural.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. That's enough of my soapbox.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to end, but we'll begin this discussion again next week.
I'm going to have to be 30 minutes late on the 30th.
Okay.
I'm fostering twin newborns, and I have to take these training courses within a very short frame of time.
Okay.
And one of them overlapped 30 minutes at the beginning of the one on the 30th.
All righty. Okay. All right.
Wonderful. How wonderful.
Yes. Hey, Ron.
Yes, Marvin.
I'd like to share my number with everyone. My number, and this is my personal cell, 201-667-4179.
4179.
I encourage anyone, if you like to just reach out, even if it's just simply say good morning, I'm big on expanding my network, So
let me repeat that back to you. 201-667-4179.
Yes, ma'am.
And Marvin, what is your last name?
Venable. That's spelled V as in Victor, ENABLE. And if you guys get a chance, look up my website. It's mvpsafetytrainings.com.
With an S.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
All right, check me out.
MVP Safety training.
It's in the yes, in the chat.
MVP.
Anna put it in the chat.
Yeah. MV safetytrainings.com.
Got it. Thank you.
It's a LLC right now, but I'm moving towards the S Corp.
Okay.
All right.
This is again one of the items we should have on our database of professionals that can assist our cooperatives.
Mhm.
In the directory that you sent us, Anna, is all of that in there? Everybody's name and contact info?
Yes, so everyone in the very introductory email to the Academy, everyone got shared the participant directory and the speaker directory. And so you have accesses to emails for all the speakers, I believe, and also all the emails and phone numbers for every participant in
And
this.
bios, what people do.
Yes, also for both the speakers and for the participants, there are bio lists that had been shared with everyone here. If anyone can't find anything, I can resend it.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. All right, folks.
Very cool.
All right. Well, we solved some problems tonight.
Yeah. Huh? At least we on track.
Yeah, we're
Moving in
on
the
track.
right direction.
In the right direction.
Look, if we didn't get them all solved, at least we know we headed in the right direction.
Well, and thank you for your time.
All right. So I'll see you all next Thursday.
Yep.
All
Thank
right. Hey,
you.
Josie, I see you there.
Hi, Reverend Burnett. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Josie.
Ron, you outdid yourself tonight.
Oh, no.
It was very good, very good.
Hmm. All right, folks. Well, have a great evening, and I'll see you in a week.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank
God
Thanks,
you.
bless.
everyone.
Bless
God-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, I too.